I'm 19-2 or 20-2 over the last 3 weeks. Nobody tail responsibly. Let me say that. When I make these picks, Tampa Bay, New Orleans 5.5. If I could do an
In this,
if I could do an alternative point spread, I'm taking Tampa -10.
so you think Tampa's going to rout them
Yes.
this weekend?
You
I
said
mean,
you
it's
said this was the
definitely
only
always
loss for Tampa.
possible. That's their one loss on the year was week 1 to the Saints.
Yeah,
They got smacked.
-10.
Oh, you're talking the Tom Brady revenge game. That's what you're talking. I see where you're going.
Yes.
Um, Tampa Bay at the Saints -5.5. I won't alternate line it, but I would take Tampa Bay and swallow the points. I would say Tampa Bay by a touchdown this weekend. I think Tampa Bay obviously has turned it around. They haven't lost since then, and I just can't pick against Tom Brady when Jameis Winston is the quarterback on the other side. So I'm going to. I would take Tampa Bay and the -5. So I would just parlay them together into one bet. Moving on to a a tough one to call here with the amount of points. You got Miami traveling up to Buffalo. Miami is a 13.5 point dog. So Buffalo is favored 13.5 in this game at home against a putrid Miami Dolphins team. Uh, I'm not gonna lie, I'll take Buffalo -13.5. They might win this game by 21. You might want to even alternate spread this point even higher. I think Miami's terrible. I think Buffalo's one of the better teams in football. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
This is a game that I've actually kept off of my parlay list for the weekend. Because everything's telling me Buffalo -13.5. Everything. But for some reason, I want Miami +13.5.
You want
So,
Miami
so
13.5.
I'm gonna go Miami 13.5 if I had to choose one.
Okay. Um, we agree to disagree on that one. That's nothing new for us, though. If you want to follow the hotter hand on that one, it'd be Matt. A little bit hotter than I've been. We got another divisional game here. Carolina traveling to Atlanta. Atlanta, a 3.5 point favorite at home, so pretty much a pick'em game is what Vegas is saying. Usually a home advantage is usually about 3 points, so they're throwing a half-point swing on there. What are your thoughts on that one, Matt?
This is another one where I don't even want to touch. Um, you know, I,
Same. I don't particularly like either of the last two games myself, but if I had to pick, obviously that's what we're telling you.
so Atlanta's
If
minus
you're
3.5 right now.
-3.5 at home against Carolina, who's been on a downward trend in a heavy direction without Christian McCaffrey.
Um, I'm gonna take an alternative spread here, and I'm gonna do Carolina -3.
Okay, so you got Carolina winning by a field goal,
Yes.
which will definitely get you better odds than probably the stock line. So, um, I also agree. I would take Carolina to cover and win. Alternative point spread, I wouldn't go any higher than the -3 Matt's going, but if you want to do a safe bet, you just take them at +3.5. I think they cover that. I also think that they're going to win. I can't trust Atlanta's defense. Carolina's offense isn't great, but their defense has been playing well this year. So if they can slow down that Atlanta offense, I think they're going to be able to actually move the ball on Atlanta's defense. I think you'll see Sam Darnold have a better game than he's had the past few weeks. So I agree on that one. We got the New York Giants playing Kansas City in Kansas City. The Chiefs are a -10 favorite at home against the Giants.
That's the Monday night game.
Yep.
We don't have an update on Patty yet.
No, which does make a difference. If I was going to bet this game, which I don't plan to, I would just take the Giants to cover the points, solely based on the fact that Kansas City hardly ever covers, even if they do win under the Patrick Mahomes era. I think they've only covered like once in their last 10 games. So,
see, this is where it strikes me. If Patty plays, this could be the turnaround game for Kansas City to get them going. Playing a Giants team that won last week 25-3 over Carolina. They're going to be a little bit full of themselves. This is a game where Patty needs to show out. It's a primetime game Monday night. This is the game where Patty goes out and throws for 405 touchdowns. So I would take, if Patty's playing, I got Kansas City -10.
Okay. But if he's not, then you would swing the other way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I could see that. We got another divisional matchup this week, and this is a interesting games of two teams that are pretty hot right now. Tennessee Titans travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts are a -2 at home, so Vegas has basically no idea who's going to win this game, is what they're telling you with that line. Since Matt is a big Carson Wentz guy, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Who do you got?
Tennessee alternative, Tennessee -6.
So you got Tennessee basically by a touchdown.
Yes, sir.
Over Indianapolis. I'd agree. I think Indy has looked much improved. I just think Tennessee's a little bit better of a team, and especially right now, they've been absolutely red hot. I would take Tennessee -3, but being that they're a +2 dog, that's still going to give you better odds. So I just think, I don't know that Indianapolis can stop Derrick Henry from being Derrick Henry right now.
No.
I don't know if anybody can. So that's going to make it tough for them to win this game. Moving on to another one that Vegas believes is going to be a rout. The Los Angeles Rams go to Houston to play the Texans. The Rams are a 14.5-point favorite playing Houston this weekend.
The 14.5 scares me. This Houston team is bad. It's really bad. And a lot of people said that this Detroit team's really bad, and then Detroit covered the 16.5-point spread against the Rams last week. 14.5 is so much. Like, that's a college spread.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's the Buffalo spread, this spread, those are both huge spreads. That's why I'm not betting this game this week either. The 14.5 should scare you. That's a ridiculous line in the NFL.
All right.
But I want to. Oh man, I don't even know who to pick here.
I don't want to.
Probably.
I don't want
this line.
I don't want to alternative spread it because it's going to cost you money in the long run. Because you could take Houston plus 14.5 for my alternative spread, but my alternative spread would probably be Rams -10 to be on the safe side if this is going into a parlay. Because I feel like they could cover 10.
If you're heading into a parlay, you could maybe throw this bet in there on like a -10 line. But with that 14.5-point spread, I would stay far away from this game. I think the Rams will win. I just couldn't tell you by how much. So that was a tricky one. We're gonna get the other giant point spread out of the way since we've already done the -10 Kansas City game and the -13.5 Buffalo game and the -14.5 Houston Rams game. Let's just go on to the Cincinnati Bengals going to New York to play the Jets. The Jets are a 10.5-point dog at home to what appears to be very good Bengals team.
This is another one, the 10.5. We spoke earlier. I said I had the idea of putting Cincinnati at 9.5. That's what their spread was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
The 10.5 is iffy. The 9.5 is still iffy. The Cincinnati's team's coming off a huge win against Baltimore. And then you have this Jets team that got destroyed by New England. And then they go and they trade for Joe Flacco, who is a lot better of a quarterback than what they have at the moment in New York. So 10.5. If Flacco plays, I gotta take the Jets 10.5. If Flacco doesn't play, it's Cincy minus 10.5.
Yeah. Again, these are those types of games I like to avoid these big spreads. I would take Cincy to win. I don't know if I would do a 10.5-point spread. I might just do a money line. If I was going to bet this game, maybe just money line bet Cincinnati and take what you're going to get with that. I would definitely not bet the spread on this game. 10.5 is too much for me. So all I'll say is I would take Cincinnati money line, but I would stay away from the spread on this one. That moves us into two more teams from that particular division of Cincinnati's, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is a -3.5 currently at home against Pittsburgh.
Nick Chubb is playing. I believe Baker is supposed to be playing. I'm going to take Cleveland -6.5 on an alternative spread.
Yep. I'd probably mirror that bet, even with Keenum playing at quarterback. The Pittsburgh offense is putrid, and Cleveland's just a better roster. So that's a pretty quick, easy one for me. We got San Francisco going to Chicago this weekend. San Francisco is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. I'll just lead off with this one. Chicago stinks. The Bears are terrible. Justin Fields looks terrible. His offensive line is terrible. So San Francisco, I would definitely take the San Francisco money line, and I'd probably take San Francisco at more than 3.5 points. I might alternative it up to like 6.5. I think they win by at least a touchdown.
This is one where you could see the double-digit point spread. 11.5, 12 in San Francisco's favor. But coming off of a terrible game against Tampa Bay, losing 38-3, and then San Francisco's coming off a game where they allowed Indianapolis to come back and win. Alternative spread, I guess we'll go San Francisco -9.5.
Okay. We got Jacksonville Jaguars traveling cross country to Seattle. Seattle's a -3.5-point favorite at home, even without Russell Wilson. Your thoughts on this, Matt? Side note, I absolutely hate this game as well.
I'm going to go Jacksonville plus the 3.5.
Yeah, the half is what's tripping me up. Because if I was going to predict this game, I would say Seattle by a field goal. So I'd have to agree, probably Jacksonville plus the 3. So we got the New England Patriots fresh off of a crushing victory over the New York Jets. Surprise. Traveling to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, who are coming off of a bye week after being embarrassed by the Ravens. If this was me, I got the Chargers alternative spread +7. I think they win this game probably by 2 scores, probably a 10-point win. Just my guess.
What's the actual point spread of this game?
I believe it was New England +4.5 on the road.
You know, it's Mac Daddy coming off of a huge win. Chargers got blown out. One of my 2 losses in the last 3 weeks. I'm staying away from the Chargers for that reason because they like to ruin my dreams. Let's go New England 4.5.
Okay, so you got New England to cover the +4.5 there. It is possible. I don't know that this New England team is really all that good. I mean,
actually,
yeah, you got a blowout win, but it was over the Jets. So I mean, that's not.
Actually,
that's like a varsity team playing a JV team.
I gotta change that. I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot New England's top corner is out for the rest of the year.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go Chargers -4.5.
Okay. So then in the I don't give a crap game of the week, you got the Washington football team traveling to Denver to play the Broncos. Both teams have looked terrible the past few weeks and this season. The Broncos are the -3 favorite at home, so basically Vegas calling this a pick'em game. I don't really like this one this week. Both teams are so up and down and unpredictable. I don't know what I'm going to get week to week, so those are games I like to stay away from. Gun to my head, I had to choose Denver -3 at home.
I'm going to alternative point this, and I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go Washington -3 on the road.
Okay. So we got a pretty big NFC matchup. You got a hot Minnesota Vikings team hosting an equally hot and one of the better looking teams in the league, Dallas Cowboys team. So Dallas travels to Minnesota. Minnesota is a 1.5-point dog at home.
Coming off of a bye, I told you earlier, I got Dallas -5.5.
Yeah, I like Dallas here off the bye. Minnesota's looked better, but not completely buttoned up yet. And I just think Dak's better than Kirk Cousins. So, and weapons-wise, I think they both have great weapons. So, I just give advantage a little bit to the Dallas roster. I would definitely bump the line up a little bit in Dallas's side. I would go probably up to like -4 for the Cowboys, 4.5. So we got 2 games left. The game we talked about earlier, tonight's game, Green Bay at Arizona. Arizona 6.5-point favorites. I said earlier, I think I got Arizona winning tonight, and I think it could be a blowout. I am taking Arizona -6.5 and the Arizona money line tonight. They are in a same game parlay I had put together earlier today, and I feel very confident in. But I just don't see Green Bay being able to get it done with all the injuries. Matt, I know you said think Green Bay might keep it close, so I don't know where you fall on this spread or what you want to say here.
Well, I'm going to go with a different spread than 6.5. I know it's been what I've been doing with these alternatives here, but I'd like Green Bay +4.5. I do think this is going to come down to at least a field goal either way. So I bring down the plus from 6.5 to 4.5. Make a little bit of extra money on this, and I still think they do cover.
Okay. And then, because we are the Philly Frenzy podcast, save this game for last. Philadelphia at Detroit. Philadelphia is a -3.5 point favorite in this game against the Lions team that some weeks looks really scrappy and competitive, and then other weeks looks absolutely terrible. So, you being the Philadelphia fan, where do you see this game at?
For comfort level, I would take Detroit plus 8.5. For money purposes, I would take Detroit -5.
So you think there's a good chance that Detroit actually wins this game this weekend?
I think there is a great chance
You're
that Detroit
you're
wins this
that
game.
out on the
Yes.
you're that out on your Eagles, huh?
Yes. No question.
This is a tough game. Both teams have been kind of up and down. Like I mentioned earlier with Detroit, I think Philadelphia has been the same way. I think they've had their wins have come on weeks where they look pretty good, and then the next week they look flat. So it's one of those games that's tougher to pick. I'm gonna go Detroit plus the 3.5. I think that half point is actually nice in this game because I think it may be a field goal either way. If I was gonna make a money line bet, I think I'd have to lean towards Detroit. They've had a few heartbreaking losses this season. I think that this is a winnable game for them, so I would go with Detroit, which wraps up this weekend's scheduled games and our bets on them. So we're going to transition over into our power rankings before we end our NFL show. Get them off for this week before the game goes off tonight. So, Matt, where are you at for who do you have